Alrighty, we'll get started here. Thank you for everyone for joining us today. I first want to bring up to the attention that this is for NDSU Hospitality and Tourism Management. We are all in convention meeting planning this semester. And so we're happy to put on this virtual panel event, especially during a time of COVID where we can't meet in person. I'm first going to introduce ourselves. I am Kaya Doctor. This is Wynn Reed, Brianna Lewis, and I don't think you can see Sydney, but Sydney, oh, she's right there. Yeah, Sydney Willicke. And okay. And then we also have our panelists today. We are presenting on volunteer opportunities in the FM area. Our thought behind this was that, especially with COVID, we don't know what is available for people to volunteer at and in what capacity. So we wanted to bring this to attention of those who may need service hours or are looking for something for the summer, things like that. So we first have Jessica. She is from VA Volunteer Services. We have Kim Morris from the River Keepers Project Coordinator, or that's what she is, a coordinator. Hannah McKeenan from Churches United, Andrea Steele from Rebuilding Together, Jen Jameson from Dakota Horizons. So I want to thank all of our guests for coming in today and being willing to support our community, especially during a time of COVID. And for our guests, we want you to mute your audio, but although we do encourage your videos to be on. And so you all aware, this event is recorded just to use as an educational and recruitment purpose for the HTM faculty. And at the end, we will have a short 7-question survey to receive your feedback. We will put this in the chat and would appreciate your time and efforts in completing this. We're just going to hop right in with Jessica. So Jessica, if you want to unmute yourself, and then we're just going to I'm going to question and answer with you. So if you want to introduce yourself and your position.
Yeah, so as mentioned, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So my name is Jessica Head. We are actually formally known as Voluntary Service. Our name recently changed. So we are now known as the Center for Development and Civic Engagement. Kind of a mouthful. But basically our name changed because we manage more than volunteers. We do a lot more with the community. So it's changed nationwide with all VAs. But just to give you kind of a introduction about the Fargo VA healthcare system, we are one of 9 VA facilities in the nation that we provide combined medical and benefit services. So we have the Veterans Health Administration, which is healthcare, and then the Veterans Benefits Administration. And basically the Fargo VA provides medical care to veterans that reside in North Dakota, Western Minnesota, and Northern South Dakota. And our medical center is a general medical, surgical, and psychiatric facility. We do also have a community living center that provides extended care to veterans as well. And then they are often referred to Minneapolis VA for any tertiary care that they might have. We do also support community-based outpatient clinics. Those are located in Bismarck, Grafton, Devils Lake, Williston, Dickinson, Jamestown, Minot, Grand Forks, and then Bemidji and Fergus Falls. So those are smaller facilities that we have as well. And we do also have the regional office, which administers over $86 million in benefits to veterans and their dependents in the regional area. We do employ over 1,400 employees. And we have an annual budget of about $70 million for medical care. And we do have an active research program with University of North Dakota. What else? And we're kind of broken up into VISNs. So as a member, we are VISN 23. So that includes most of the Midwest. So you'll kind of hear that a lot about us too. So that's in conjunction with North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, and Western Wisconsin. So you'll hear VISN 23 a lot is what we kind of refer to for our general area. In our mission here at the VA, it's to fulfill President Lincoln's promise to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, by serving and honoring the men and women who are America's veterans. So basically our goal is to provide exceptional healthcare that improves their health and well-being. So that's our mission here at the VA. And then in our program specifically, the Center for Development and Civic Engagement, it's myself, the chief of the program, and then I do have 3 specialists that work with me as well. And basically our roles are to recruit, onboard, train, and retain and maintain the volunteer workforce, much like a human resources does for paid staff. And then we do also manage all of the donations that come into the facility. So that includes the Fargo VA and then the community-based outpatient clinics, as I mentioned earlier. And then any, basically from any donors, individuals, organizations, and corporations. I'm a deputy chair for our CDCE committee, which was formerly known as VAVS committee. But we basically get together and we discuss the needs of the hospital, and they're kind of like advertisement for basically getting together and figuring out what our needs are to help better veterans in our facility. So volunteer positions, we do have quite a few. One of our most common ones is our transport service. So that basically is transporting veterans that are wheelchair bound to and from medical appointments within the facility. And one of our big ones right now is our Red Coat ambassadors. So they serve as, it's a big customer service position. So every veteran that walks into the front door at our facility is greeted by one of these volunteers wearing a bright red coat. You cannot miss them. But their job is to basically provide any wayfinding for veterans that need assistance getting to their appointment. And then just making sure with COVID and everything that they are here for a medical appointment and they're not just coming into the facility for no reason. So basically to reduce foot traffic. And then ensuring people are maintaining social distancing and wearing masks and shields when they come in. Because of COVID, this has been put on hold, but we also do have coffee greeters. So they would serve coffee to veterans coming into the facility for appointments. We do have a program called No Veteran Dies Alone. So this is a program that a volunteer would serve as a companion to a veteran that is actively dying, and they may not have anybody, any friends or family to sit with them during their last moments of life. So that's one program that we do have. And that one unfortunately is put on hold right now, just still due to the restrictions with COVID for our inpatient units. We do also have some nursing assistant positions, and these are kind of like your typical candy striper, assisting patients with tasks when they come out of surgery, helping the nurses wipe down stations and things like that, and then transporting any lab specimens that may be necessary. And that one as well has been put on hold due to COVID restrictions still. One great thing that has come out of all of the pandemic is a virtual position that we do have now. It's national, so there are VAs across the nation that are utilizing this. I think there are up to 100 different VA facilities are utilizing this program now. It's the Compassionate Contact Corps program. So we collaborated with our caregiver support team here to come up with this position. So basically any veteran that is experiencing isolation or loneliness during these times, a volunteer would be there to simply call them and have conversation with them. So it's free for them. It's very simple. And we have, I think, about 40 volunteers and quite a few veterans. I think about 30 veterans on this program right now. So it has gone over really well. And that's something great that has come out of COVID, is this virtual opportunity for volunteers. We do also have a volunteer transportation network program. These volunteers are drivers from rural areas of the state, like Bemidji, Wahpeton, Devil's Lake, Williston, and they take patients here to their medical appointments. So that is volunteer based. We do also have a partnership with UND. for physical therapy and occupational therapy. So students that are going to school for that can get their hours here. And then we do have recreation volunteers that assist with inpatient veterans with activities such as like bingo or casino nights. But that one has been put on hold for COVID restrictions because it is strictly inpatient. So as far as volunteer opportunities, that's pretty much the majority of it. Just kind of a couple highlights from our programs. Last year in 2020, we had 446 active volunteers, and over 29,954 hours were volunteered last year. So that's pretty huge for us. And then kind of another highlight that I wanted to mention as well is we have a few sisters that volunteered their time here, and they put in over 1,000 hours. So that was pretty cool to see. And then we have had one volunteer who spent over 40 years volunteering her time at the VA. And I think that's the person that has volunteered the most here. So that's pretty neat to see. I think that's all that I had.
Yeah, that was
Do you
great.
have any questions or anything about, or are we doing that at the end?
We can do them each with individual too. Yeah. Maybe what
Okay.
did you go to college for? How did you get to where you are?
Me personally?
Yeah.
So I kind of have kind of a long story. So actually I went to school for healthcare management. I started my career at the VA as a contractor employee. So I was the director's secretary is how I came in as a contract employee. And then of course my contract ended in about 6 months. So then I actually worked in food service, and that was kind of my way of getting into the VA. And I worked food service for about 3 months, and then I actually got a job as a specialist in voluntary service. And then I moved on and I worked in the homeless program as the employment specialist. So I assisted homeless veterans with obtaining employment in the community. And then this job opened up. So as of December of 2020, I became the chief for the department. So it's just kind of experience-based, because it is kind of tough to get into the federal government. So you got to know somebody, or if you volunteer your time here and you become like a well-known volunteer, some of our youth volunteers have gotten employment here. So
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. And then we'll move on to Kim Morris. If you want to introduce yourself and River Keepers.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. All right, well, my name is Kim Morris. I am the project coordinator of River Keepers, and I've been in this position since about 2017. I graduated from NDSU and started in this role. The main responsibilities of the project coordinator role are to work with our volunteers. We work with about 2,000 volunteers on a yearly basis, and to help with plan for our projects and programming throughout the year. We are really busy in the spring, the summer, and the fall. So our mission at River Keepers is to advocate for safe and sustainable use of the Red River in the Fargo-Moorhead area. And we've been around since about 1990. In 1989, a big assessment was done of the Red River and kind of gauging that interest between the community and the Red River and what that relationship looked like. And they found from that assessment that the river was underutilized and in some cases mistreated. And so from that assessment became a book with recommendations, and one of which was to create an organization like River Keepers to exist to advocate for the river. And that is how our organization was formed. And our slogan is learn, sustain, enjoy. So our projects and programming that volunteers can help with really fits well within those parameters to help the community learn about the Red River. So a lot of education roles to help sustain the river, a lot of river restoration, helping plant trees, helping pick up trash, helping plant or place storm drain markers in the community to reduce stormwater pollution, and then also to enjoy the Red River, to get people to actively use it in ways such as canoeing and kayaking and fishing. So a lot of different events throughout the year. So that's a little bit about Riverkeeper's mission and a little bit about our history. As far as volunteer opportunities go and an explanation of what volunteers do, yeah, that's a big portion of it. The roles that we are looking for include, most recently, we have a couple of tree plantings coming up. So we're looking for volunteers to plant trees at Reforest the Red, to help with trail cleanups, and storm drain marking are really busy projects in the spring and the summer. And, you know, last year we were impacted in a lot of ways because of COVID, like every other organization. And we're hoping to proceed with some of those events that we weren't able to have last year, such as our fishing clinics to help youth fish near the Red River, a lot of education there, but also the chance to fish. So volunteer roles like that. And then we have a really fun canoeing kayak race in August. So we're hoping that, crossing our fingers, that that will pull through as well, so we can get people out there racing the Red. So those are some of our roles throughout the spring, summer, and fall. We have our volunteer form on our website at riverkeepers.org that you can fill out online and work with me directly on getting signed up for those different roles. We have those volunteer opportunities, as well as internships that we work one-on-one with. A lot of times students sign up, so that is also another opportunity that we can have a conversation about. Yeah, so, and we don't have hour requirements. We can work with whatever our volunteer schedules allow. So especially with COVID, that really works well. And then, how has COVID impacted recruiting? Definitely with outreach, that's a challenge to increase awareness of the Red River and present those opportunities. We haven't been able to go to as many outreach events that we would normally attend, but virtually those opportunities to advertise still exist. And we haven't worked with as many volunteers last year. We worked with about 700, and normally we work with about 2,000. So that's a little bit of a gauge on how that impacted us last year. So, and then success stories and favorite moments. Well, for advocating for a river, it's a lot of getting people to experience it, because once the river becomes a part of your life, you're making memories there with your friends and your family. You're planting trees, you're catching maybe your first fish, you're spotting animals, you're kayaking on the weekends. It becomes something that you really want to protect. So our success stories, I feel like, are twofold. It's successful when we're planting, you know, X amount of trees or picking up 50 pounds of trash at a park. So those are success stories, but there's also a lot of favorite moments with people, because we can't do what we do without the community. So, you know, seeing a kid nervous to fish, and then after meeting with them, they become so confident by the end of the fishing clinic, and they're out there fishing, or maybe they're smiling for the first time in a long time. Because they feel like they're making an impact in the community. Or seeing a fourth grader for the first time learning about stormwater pollution, and then going home and being determined to tell everyone in her neighborhood about it. Those are all special moments with people. So I think that covers a good amount of the questions you asked, but I'm happy to answer any other ones that you have.
Yeah, I have a question. Is River Keepers along the Red River, like Grand Forks, do they have an organization like this, or Wapton, even Manitoba?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there are a lot of other river keepers organizations in the country, but we're not affiliated with them. We specifically advocate for the river in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So that is as far as our outreach extends, but there is an organization or a website you can go to online. I believe it's waterkeepers.org, and they have all of the river keepers on their website that you can search in other states.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else have questions?
How would people get involved? Like, how would they go through the process of actually signing up for these events?
Yeah, our volunteer form on our website is a pretty easy way to kind of let us know what you're interested in. So riverkeepers.org/volunteer. If you go to that website, you can fill out our form. Otherwise, if it's easier to have a direct conversation with us, you can also email us or call us to kind of start that conversation of having, just knowing what you're interested in, since we have a lot of events. And some volunteers help out once a year at our tree planting, and they come back every year to plant trees, but other volunteers will assist with multiple events throughout the year, picking up trash, coming to race the red to help with our canoe and kayak race. So it looks a little bit different for everyone, but that's the general process, and I am the contact for that. So we'll stay in touch as events approach, and you'll also get put on our e-news subscription. So you'll get periodic updates from us throughout the year as new events approach, and we need more volunteers for them.
Awesome, yeah, and we will have everyone give their contact information at the end of the hour. So that will be a direct communication with you all if you guys want to provide that. But yeah, thank you, Kim. We'll move on to Hannah McKeon, if you want to introduce yourself and Churches United.
Absolutely. And can you also hear me?
Yes, we're good.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. So I'm Hannah McMeegan. I'm the volunteer and donations coordinator at Churches United. To kind of give a brief history of Churches United, we started in 1987, and we're started by around 11 faith-based communities to meet the need of the growing population of those experiencing homelessness in the FM area. Since then, we are now an organization comprised of 5 separate locations. As of 2019, we have Micah's Mission, which is the largest shelter under the Churches United umbrella. It's the only shelter in about a 255-mile radius that can house men, women, and families. So no matter what that family's makeup is, we're able to shelter them, which is especially important for those male-headed households. Then we have the Dorothy Day House, which is a small 16-bed men's-only shelter, and it's really great for those that don't do well in the large shelter setting and really thrive in that more family-style, close-knit house style, I guess. And then we have the 2 Dorothy Day food pantries. The Dorothy Day food pantry in Moorhead is what is known as a choice model food pantry. So those that go to utilize that food pantry actually get to go in and shop for what they want instead of just receiving a box and hoping they like it. Granted, during the pandemic, we did have to go to the box model just to comply with all of the measures put in place to stop the spread of COVID. But hopefully, fingers crossed, in this summer, we'll be able to start moving back towards that choice model. And then we have the Dorothy Day Food Pantry West, which is a pop-up food pantry. It is that food box-based model. And that one is run entirely by volunteers. It's around 17 people that put in almost 500 hours every month to make sure that food pantry is functioning. Sorry. And then we have our Bright Sky apartment complex, which is a permanent supportive housing complex. That is for those that have had the most difficulty getting housed or staying housed, whether it's because of a debilitating condition, chemical dependencies, what have you. So there's on-site case management. There's a Sanford nurse on the site and a small food pantry on Tuesdays, which I should also mention, we have case management and the on-site shelter nurse at both the shelters as well. And hopefully this year, or late next year, we will be expanding that housing support program to include another apartment building called Silver Linings, and that will be for those that are over the age of 55, because that is where the biggest need is coming from. Is those that are 55 and older that are experiencing homelessness and having difficulty being housed. So our mission is to provide safe shelter, stable housing, nutritious food, and a path toward healing. And we do that in a low barrier setting while practicing harm reduction. So we're really trying to meet people where they're at. So, you know, if somebody is on site and they are under the influence, that's perfectly fine. They just can't be using well on the premises. We really can't do what we do without our volunteers. It's when COVID started back in 2020, March 2020, it really created a vacuum of need where volunteers used to fill in, because we would have around, in 2019, we had 22,000 volunteer hours contributed to the organization. And in 2020, that dropped down to 12,000. And most of that 12,000 were over at the food pantries where we could continue to have volunteers. And it was really a hit to morale as well. Volunteers do a lot to boost the morale, not only of those we're serving, but also of staff, because they're able to get the things done that we just can't, because we don't necessarily have the time to get to that project. So right now we do have some projects going on, and whether it's a short-term volunteer or a long-term volunteer, we are able to accommodate both, and we really schedule around what works for our volunteers. We thankfully do have quite a few opportunities going on right now, just because the weather's much nicer, so we can have people outside assisting with grounds cleanup around our Bright Sky apartments and at the shelters, and helping in the basement, because we can easily social distance with masks on to help sort donations, as it's not necessarily coming into direct contact with guests. And hopefully in the next month here or so, we'll be able to start welcoming volunteers back in to help assist with serving meals and providing activities for guests, whether it's hosting bingo or a art project, something like that. I think I hit on everything. I feel like I missed something, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, you really got it all. Maybe how would people get in contact with Churches United? Is it a website to sign up, or?
Absolutely. Generally it's reaching out to me via email or phone. Although for some of our meal serving opportunities, we do have a sign up genius up, just as it just makes it easier to sign up for those and make sure we're not overdoing it on the volunteers that we need for that project. But generally it's reaching out to me. We'll see how that changes as the year progresses.
Yeah, awesome.
So,
any questions? All right, thank you, Hannah. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Alrighty, and then Andrea Steele, if you want to give an introduction of you, and then also rebuilding, yes. Rebuilding together.
Yes.
My script was a little off. I was like, okay.
That's okay. I am Andrea Steele. I am the program manager for Rebuilding Together, Fargo-Moorhead Area. We are part of a national organization. There are affiliates across the country. We started this affiliate in 2011. Our then executive director, he just retired this last year, was working for Habitat for Humanity, and they kept getting phone calls about people who are already homeowners that needed help. And Habitat doesn't do that. They build new homes. And so he looked into it and decided to start a Rebuilding Together affiliate. So what we do is we are a free home repair and rehab program devoted to helping low-income homeowners who are elderly, veterans, families with small children, and people living with a disability. So basically, we go in and do anything that we can. Sometimes it's painting, switching out a faucet, minor repairs, all the way to fixing roofing, siding, windows, and into foundations. So kind of big span of different things that we do. Volunteers are a huge part of our organization. We are a very small nonprofit compared to guys like everybody else. They're talking thousands of hours, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be like amazing. We primarily have some handymen or handy women to do like projects. So they'll go out and fix those faucets, you know, do some painting, fix the drywall, some of the smaller projects. Then we are always looking for those types of people that, you know, are really handy, like to work around the house type of thing. But we also do group projects, which COVID took a big chunk out of. We work with a lot of banks and realtors and any company that's kind of in the housing community. And with COVID, we had to actually put a stop to those group projects. So that really affected us this last year on what we could do. We ended up having to hire a lot of contractors to do what typically we would get a group project to do. But we actually kind of started thinking outside the box a little bit, and we started looking for projects we could do outside. If we would get small groups and creating multiple, like, you know, multiple projects for like a one office type of thing, where we could spread them out. And then we also partnered with United Way. United Way does their Day of Caring every year, but because of COVID, it got canceled. But they still had companies that still wanted to do volunteer work in the community. So every month I would send them a list of projects I had, and they would try to match us up with volunteers. So last fall, we managed to do some really cool, more like outdoor distance, able to, you know, social distance projects, and it really helped those homeowners. So that's not all our volunteers do, though. We also have a home assessment committee. With COVID, we've had to stop that committee, and they would go out to homeowners and look at their house and kind of get a project list. So that's kind of fallen to staff. Just a lot of our home assessment people are people in the housing kind of world, and so a lot of their organizations try and limit them too to what, you know, getting into homes. So we're hoping to get that committee going back soon. But we also do events, like a lot of nonprofits. You know, we all need funding. So we do have, especially for like you guys in your major, we do usually 3 events per year. Actually coming up pretty soon is our Rebuilder Breakfast. And that's just a free breakfast, kind of just to talk about volunteering and about our organization. And then we do our Clause for a Cause, which is a big gala fundraiser, which we always need lots of volunteers for that. And then we also do it called a Rebuilder Boil, where it's just kind of a friend raiser. So it's just kind of a fun, a lot of our events are a lot of fun. We like to have a lot of fun. We're not the suit and tie, you know, it's kind of like put your jeans on kind of events. And then we do have a volunteer that does a lot of our social media. And then we're also looking for people that like could help with our website, even data entry type of thing. So our volunteers sometimes range from one-off to long-term, just depends on, I guess, what they like to do. A lot of our event people like to come back and they just do like Clause for a Cause. So they just come and they help with that one specific event year after year. And then, you know, like I said, we have a group of handymen and handy women that will take on a project a month or a project every couple of weeks type of thing, depending on what I have. So we are a little bit different because our projects, you know, sometimes it's just big projects, sometimes it's just little, sometimes it's a mix. So it's kind of one of those, I call you and say, hey, I need a, you know, toilet replaced or repaired, or this, you know, client needs a window trim painted or something. So just kind of depends on what comes in for us. Success stories, favorite moments. We had a grant that actually required us to build housing. So right now we are building 2 twin homes, which is not what we do. But it's been an experience, but the fun thing is we bought a lot and it had a little 1-bedroom. I hate to even call it a shack because it was just really bad. And we had to tear it down and we didn't have a budget to tear it down. And so we called up an engineering firm that typically builds houses and, you know, creates. And we said, hey, do you guys want to take a day and come and tear down a house by hand? And they were like, heck yes. So in 8 hours, we had about 16 to 20 people throughout the day. I think we went through 10 roll-off dumpsters and we tore down a little house by hand, basically with sledgehammers, sawzalls, and crowbars. And it was probably one of the most fun because who doesn't like to tear apart, you know, demolition? I mean, that's the best part of HGTV shows is when they take the sledgehammer. So yeah, I got to do that. It was so fun. But yeah, that was probably one of our favorite. I can't always guarantee a fun demolition project, but I try to schedule a few a year just to let somebody go out there with a crowbar and tear something apart.
Awesome. How long have you been with Rebuilding together?
I started in January of 2019. I was in the retail world in home improvement for a long time. And I knew our executive director at the time was Russ Richards. And out of the blue, he literally hadn't talked to him in 2 years. And out of the blue, he called me and offered me the job. So it was kind of one of those huge leap of faith type of thing. And I am so happy that I took it. It's been an awesome, awesome experience. And just getting to work. I mean, we help about 60 to 70 people, families and people throughout in each year. And we work on about 35 to 40 homes each year. And we want to, I mean, the goal is to obviously increase that every year as, you know, helping more and more people.
Awesome. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate
thank you
it.
guys.
Yeah. And then finally, we have Jen. If you want to introduce yourself, and then Dakota Horizons.
All right, can you guys hear me?
We're good. Yes.
Fantastic. I'm technologically challenged, so don't be surprised if I accidentally mute myself again and you're like, Jen. So I am Jen Jameson. I work for Girl Scouts Dakota Horizons is the full name. We are one of the 105 councils across the United States. Our council, there used to be 210, believe it or not. They were small little individual, and our council actually is one of the larger size-wise. We have 164,000 square miles that we cover, all of North and South Dakota, and then Northwest Minnesota and a county in Iowa. So for all of those miles, we have roughly at any given time about 50 employees that cover all of that area, doing everything from like my job is to basically work with the volunteers locally in my area to support them, help them get troops started, help them do programming for the girls, that sort of a thing. But some people might be working in our finance department, our marketing department. We have lots of different places that we all work in. Our mission, our statement is that we are working to build girls of courage, confidence, and character that will make the world a better place. And so in doing that, we get the opportunity to work with lots of the other nonprofits in the area. I know Kim and I have worked together on a few things. She's helped me out with some projects and programs. And I know this summer we're also working with Habitat for Humanity, helping having girls sign up to hopefully build some picnic tables for the homes that they're going to be building. So we want the girls to be very active in their communities. And it's not just short-term active. I mean, yes, we want to be able to volunteer for different things, but we also want them to look at their communities and see shortcomings in an area and then have an idea or come up with an idea to fix it for the long term. We want it to be sustainable. So we're encouraging the girls to think along those lines. Different volunteering opportunities that we may have. Again, could be all over the place. Anything from sometimes this year in particular, we switched from doing more in-person things to doing virtual like this. We also did a lot of badge at home kits. And so I could need somebody to come in and help me stuff kits so that I can get them out in the mail, that kind of a thing. All the way up to running a troop. And troop leaders, we don't just say, here you go. We actually do give volunteers step-by-steps of how to run a troop and how to do badges. We've got badges for 6 different levels of girls, everything from, let's see, this weekend I'm doing a board game badge with some daisies, which is kindergarten and first graders. And I just sent out a badge at home kit for ambassadors, which would be the 11th and 12th graders, that revolves around app development. So we've got all sorts of different things. If you have interests or hobbies or things like that, that you wouldn't mind sharing those, we could probably definitely see if there are ways that we could tie it into maybe doing a program and having it earn a badge. We also do the cookie sale every year. And that is always a challenge, logistically speaking, when it comes to having the cookies that come in. The girls get initial orders, and then those initial orders go to different areas. Like there's the South Fargo service unit, and then they take their initial order and break it out to the troops, and then the troop breaks it out to the girls. So we could actually use people to help break out those cookies down into the troop level, just to have the extra bodies to count that kind of thing out. Problem with that one though is that it's very short notice turnaround time. You know, we might have an idea of this is the week they should be coming, and then you'll get a call the night before saying we're coming tomorrow. So that makes it a little bit hard to help with those if you've got, you know, a job and those sort of things. But those are other things that we can have, we would love to have help with. I'm trying to think of what else. We have a whole back room of programming materials that I've been through once a couple of years ago and probably should go through again. We're doing a lot of programming that is outdoor again this summer, because that's where we can all socially distance, and who doesn't want to be outdoors after being stuck in for a year. So we've got lots of camp opportunities for the girls, and we're looking for camp volunteers, whether it be someone to run the cookhouse, you know, do the meals, that kind of thing, get that stuff prepped, or to help out with other camp activities. I'm thinking of I'm doing an overnight camp with 2nd and 3rd graders out in Valley City, and that camp is geared towards an Olympic theme. And so we'll have all of the girls participating in different Olympic events that they'll get to compete in. And so we'll need people to help them facilitate that and cheer them on and that kind of thing. So basically, wherever you think you want to volunteer, we can probably find a place for you to volunteer. It can be short-term, it can be long-term. We have on our website, which is gsdakotahorizons.org, that's with an S at the end of Horizons. There's a listing of different opportunities. Most of the listings on there are actually to do with the troops. So there's the troop co-leader, there's treasurer, there's that kind of thing. But you can also get an idea of the different things that we do throughout the year if you want to help. We do fundraising events also. We have one event that will be coming up, and I'm not sure if they're going to do it in August or not, but it's called S'more Brews, Please. Sorry, I had to slow the old mouth down there. Basically, we have one of the local breweries that creates a s'more flavored beer, along with a few other things that go on, silent auctions and different things like that. So, you know, we could always use volunteers for things like that. We have in June something called Honoring Excellence, which is our recognition event basically for the girls that have completed their silver and gold awards. The gold award is the highest award that a Girl Scout can earn. A gold award person usually works about 80 volunteer hours at least in order to earn that gold award. So as the girls we have bronze, silver, and gold, and as they do their bronze, silver, and gold awards, depending, they're putting back into the community at least 80 hours to help out with different things. As an example, a gold award idea that one of our girls did locally was she created something called Calm Down kits for the Early Childhood Center in West Fargo. So they are not only the kits that the teachers can use in classrooms, but then there's also educational material that can go home with the parents so that they can see, now if we're doing this in school, then this needs to happen at home, and this will all tie in together to make life better for your child, which in turn will make life better for you. So again, long-term sustainability to be able to help out the community. So COVID-19 has changed a lot of things for us in the sense that, yeah, we can't do the in-person, same thing along the lines as everybody else. But it did teach us to be flexible, and there is some strength in being able to be flexible. Like that's a real powerful tool. So we are down in numbers, both in volunteers and in girls, and the numbers of volunteers that we need depends on the number of girls that we have. So it just kind of all depends on a lot of up in the air things, but we definitely have space to move forward and are looking forward to being able to get back to, I miss the girls. Oh gosh, I miss the girls. So I think everybody basically does when they're employed or volunteering with Girl Scouts. So other questions?
Do you have a success story you want to share or a favorite moment?
Success stories. I have a lot of success stories.
Yeah.
Most of them involve the girls. But I think probably one of the bigger ones is that there's the volunteer that starts off and they're not nervous. I usually start onboarding, like a parent, there's a troop that wants to get started, but there's nobody that volunteers to be the troop leader. And so we have a meeting and we have a little conversation, and I assured a couple of parents that they can actually lead a troop, and to watch them get started as volunteers, not quite sure what they're supposed to do, not quite sure how they're supposed to act, all the rest of that kind of stuff. By the end of the time, you know, that's in October when we start our year, and by December, they're kind of getting the hang of it. And then boom, we throw cookies at them and they're like, woo, and they handle that too. And to see the volunteers actually also grow just as much as the girls do. It's a great opportunity for us too. That's part of the reason I love doing this. I've been doing it for almost 8 years now. And I'll probably stay until they kick me out. So
I love that. Yeah. Any other questions?
I don't have any, but we could maybe open it up to the rest
Yeah.
of the-
Yeah, I know there's, yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I was gonna say, could you repeat that?
Oh, no, yeah, we're good. We don't have any in the room, but anyone online have any questions for anyone too? We'll leave the,
You can put them in the chat as
yeah,
well.
you can type them and we can talk them for you too. But while we're waiting, if any come in, if I've seen some already, but if you want, our panelists, if you want to share your contact information in the chat. We're also gonna have,
Computer died.
okay, never mind. We're gonna have someone else in there too, but technical issues anyway. So yeah, if you want to just submit your contact information, and then I'm also gonna put the survey back in there. If you guys want to take that for us, and that's kind of all we had today. Anyone else have any like last comments you wanted to share? No? All right. Well, thank you panelists again for coming. Thank you for our guests for coming. We hope that everyone is excited to get involved in the Fargo-Moorhead community. Maybe even before COVID ends, right? We can get out there and support our community. And that is all. So yes, just comment anything if you have anything. Otherwise, thank you and have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.